Into the Dead. Our Darkest Days is a side-scrolling shelter survival game developed by Pickpock, set in 1980s Texas during a zombie outbreak. Players lead a group of desperate survivors through Walton City, scavenging for supplies, crafting tools and weapons, and fighting off the undead. The game introduces permadeath mechanics, requiring careful management of each survivor's physical and psychological needs. The 2.5D visuals and atmospheric design aim to immerse players in a relentless struggle for survival. The game is currently in early access, with plans for major updates every 4 to 6 weeks over the next 12 to 18 months. The Sinking City 2 is an upcoming third-person survival horror game developed by Frogwares, set in a Lovecraftian version of 1920s United States. Unlike its predecessor, which leaned more towards detective gameplay, this sequel emphasizes survival horror elements. Players will navigate the flooded streets of Arkham, confronting eldritch horrors and managing resources to survive. The game features an inventory system, optional puzzles, and environmental storytelling that reveals deeper lore and unlocks secrets. Built on Unreal Engine 5, it promises next-gen visuals with lumen global illumination, photorealistic nanite geometry, and lifelike metahuman-powered characters. Reanimal is a narrative-driven horror adventure powered by Unreal Engine 5, placing players in the unsettling shoes of two siblings trying to survive a grotesque, mutated wilderness. Developed by a studio inspired by titles like Little Nightmares, this game offers a chilling blend of environmental storytelling, survival mechanics, and eerie creature design. The siblings must traverse a mysterious island overrun by nightmarish hybrid beasts, using stealth, clever puzzle solving, and limited resources to stay alive. Reanimal emphasizes cooperation. You can play solo or with another player in co-op, where each sibling's unique abilities are essential for overcoming obstacles.
I thought you were dead.
Deathground is a solo and cooperative survival horror game developed by Jaw Drop Games, thrusting players into a desperate battle for survival against deadly AI dinosaurs. Players can enter the Deathground with a team of up to 4 players for squad-based action or attempt to survive alone in a solo session. The game features intense and suspenseful gameplay, enriched with objectives, stealth, combat, and teamwork. Players will interact with a range of items and weapons, navigate diverse levels, avoid danger, and complete objectives. The AI dinosaurs are dynamic and reactive, hunting players down and influencing decision-making to drive a tailored experience. Total Chaos is a survival horror game that originated as a Doom 2 mod and has evolved into a standalone experience developed by Trigger Happy Interactive. Set on the desolate island of Fort Oasis, players assume the role of a Coast Guardsman who washes ashore and must navigate through decaying ruins, confronting grotesque creatures and unraveling the island's dark secrets. The game emphasizes resource management, with scarce ammunition and the necessity to craft makeshift weapons from scavenged materials. A unique aspect of Total Chaos is its psychological horror elements. As the protagonist's sanity deteriorates, the environment shifts, introducing hallucinations and altering the game's reality. Chasmal Fear is a next-generation first-person survival horror game developed by Mischief Dev, utilizing Unreal Engine 5 to deliver a hyper-realistic experience. Set in the depths of Magnus Underwater City, a once-thriving sci-fi facility now eerily abandoned, players must navigate through dark corridors teeming with unspeakable horrors. The game employs a body cam perspective, enhancing immersion and tension. Players face high-stakes decisions, choosing between confronting mutated monsters or slipping through the shadows to avoid them. The game introduces a monster mutation system, where creatures can evolve into more formidable forms upon death, keeping players on edge. Out of Sight is a deeply atmospheric horror puzzle game developed by The Gang and published by Starbreeze Entertainment. Players assume the role of Sophie, a young blind girl who perceives the world through her teddy bear's eyes. Trapped in a dark mansion, Sophie must rely on her wits and the unique perspective offered by her teddy bear to escape her captors and uncover the mansion's sinister secrets. The game blends first and second-person perspectives, creating a unique gameplay experience that challenges players to think differently about their surroundings. A VR version is also in development, enhancing the immersive horror experience. Silent Hill F is the next mainline entry in the renowned survival horror franchise, marking the first new installment in over a decade. Developed by Neobards Entertainment and published by Konami, the game is set in 1960s Japan, a departure from the series' traditional American settings. Players follow the story of Hinako Shimizu, a high school student in the rural town of Ebisugaoka, as she confronts supernatural horrors engulfing her community. The narrative, penned by Ryukishi07, delves into psychological themes, including gender discrimination, bullying, and societal pressures. The game combines classic Silent Hill elements, exploration, puzzle solving, and survival, with a culturally rich backdrop and a focus on emotional storytelling.
あなたがそれに悩める時間もう尽きかけている。
あなたは誰なの？さっきからなんで何もわからないふりをしているの？私はね、あんたをすぐに殺すこともできたんだよ。全部奪ったな。
Animal Use Protocol is a narrative horror game focused on psychological tension, set in a secret research facility where experiments on animals have escalated beyond control. Players will navigate dark corridors, avoid mutated creatures, and uncover morally disturbing files and recordings that reveal the depths of scientific obsession. Powered by Unreal Engine 5, the game boasts high-fidelity visuals, eerie sound design, and deeply immersive storytelling with heavy ethical undertones.
You're sure this is the right way? with indignation, pathfinding, very good.
Industria 2 is the upcoming sequel to the atmospheric first-person shooter set in an alternate dimension inspired by East Berlin and Cold War aesthetics. This time, the developers are taking full advantage of Unreal Engine 5 to create more realistic lighting, dense environments, and improved gunplay. The story is expected to delve deeper into the mysteries of parallel worlds, with a haunting narrative and more intense combat sequences. Expect a blend of exploration, puzzle solving, and retro-futuristic horror vibes.
If you hear this, don't take any risks. We need you.
The Mound Omen of Cthulhu is a first-person cooperative horror game developed by A.I.L.A team, inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's novella The Mound. Set in the 1600s, players assume the roles of conquistadors venturing into a cursed jungle in search of a legendary underground world filled with unimaginable riches. The game emphasizes cooperation, requiring up to 4 players to work together to escort their ox wagons safely through treacherous terrain. As the expedition progresses, supernatural forces begin to distort reality, affecting players' perceptions and challenging their sanity.
I'm behind you.
Ritual Tides is an upcoming first-person horror game developed by Vert Paint Studios, a team composed of industry veterans from Rockstar Games, CI Games, and TT Games. Set on a fictional British island, the game immerses players in a Lovecraftian nightmare where they must uncover the island's horrific secrets. The developers emphasize a photorealistic visual style and a uniquely dark vision, aiming to set a new standard for horror games in 2025. In Ritual Tides, players find themselves washed ashore with the sole objective of uncovering the island's terrifying mysteries.
From the land or in the light.
Dark Mass is a first-person psychological horror game developed by Path Games, set entirely underwater. Players take on the role of Alice, a deep-sea explorer investigating a sunken shipwreck alongside her brother Reed. Beneath the wreckage, they discover an untouched manor, harboring a dark curse and a monstrous entity named Silas. The game emphasizes thalassophobia, leveraging the fear of deep waters to create an intense and immersive horror experience. Players will solve puzzles inspired by historical inquisitorial tortures, make moral decisions that influence the story's outcome, and navigate the eerie silence of the deep ocean.
What was that? I think I'm not alone down here.
Will Follow the Light is a first-person psychological adventure set in the desolate northern wilderness. You play as Will, a solitary lighthouse keeper struggling with trauma and isolation after a mysterious tragedy. The game blends storytelling and survival, requiring you to manage harsh weather, navigate vast snow-covered landscapes, and maintain the beacon that keeps ships safe at sea. The game's core themes revolve around mental health, isolation, and the quiet strength of perseverance. Built in Unreal Engine 5, the game features stunning visuals including dynamic snow physics, realistic auroras, and detailed interiors of the crumbling lighthouse. Don't Watch is a first-person psychological horror game developed by Serafini Productions. Set in Tokyo, players assume the role of Shinji, a young hikikomori isolated in his apartment, grappling with mounting debts and a disintegrating mental state. As his reality unravels, Shinji becomes haunted by Hyakume, a malevolent entity with 100 eyes lurking in the shadows. The game explores themes of extreme isolation, mental deterioration, and the blurred lines between reality and delusion. Players will navigate shifting environments, confront unsettling visions, and uncover a narrative inspired by Japanese folklore. The game features a unique Don't Watch mechanic, challenging players to confront their fears directly. Cronos, The New Dawn is a third-person survival horror game developed by Bloober Team, known for titles like The Medium and the Silent Hill 2 remake. Set in a grim world where Eastern European brutalism meets retro-futurist technology, players take on the role of a traveler, an agent of the enigmatic collective. The traveler is tasked with scouring the wastelands of the future in search of time rifts that will transport them back to 1980s-era Poland, aiming to extract key individuals who perished during a cataclysmic event known as the Change. The game features intense combat against nightmarish creatures born from the remnants of humanity, requiring players to strategize and plan ahead. The Fading of Nicole Wilson is a first-person folk horror adventure developed by 101 Games, the creators of The Suicide of Rachel Foster. In this narrative-driven game, players assume the role of Britt, a teenager who takes on a ghost hunting job at the abandoned Timberline Hotel, hoping to capture footage that will make her famous. However, when her employer is hospitalized, Britt must handle the investigation alone, uncovering a web of unsettling clues that hint at a far more sinister truth hidden within the hotel's history. The game combines exploration, puzzle solving, and investigation, set against the backdrop of a hauntingly atmospheric environment.
Can you see any footprints around?
Do ghosts leave footprints?
No, but you need to be careful of more than just ghosts.
Emily,
I Hate This Place is an upcoming isometric open-world survival horror game developed by Rock Square Thunder and published under Bloober Team's new horror label, Broken Mirror Games. Inspired by the Eisner-nominated comic series by Kyle Starks and Artyom Topolin, the game immerses players in a neon-colored retro 80s aesthetic. Set in a hostile and unpredictable world, players assume the role of Elena, who awakens a malevolent force that threatens her reality. The gameplay emphasizes survival mechanics, including crafting, melee and range combat, and navigating dynamic day-night cycles. Stygian Outer Gods is a cosmic horror survival game, set in a world ruled by ancient deities from beyond the veil of human comprehension. Created with Unreal Engine 5, the game plunges players into a desolate, plague-ridden land where cults worship the unknowable, and reality twists under the weight of madness. Players take on the role of a lone hunter sent to uncover the source of mass disappearances and strange mutations. Armed with primitive tools, cryptic relics, and forbidden knowledge, you must traverse ruined towns, dense forests, and temples swallowed by the void. upcoming first-person psychological horror game developed by A.I.L.A Studio, set in a haunted house nestled in the Venezuelan mountains. The game immerses players in the dark secrets of the Blanco family, where time unravels to reveal decades of sectarian rituals and familial tragedies. Players will explore a house fractured by time, where contrasting eras collide, from a seemingly idyllic 1970s to a decadent present, each step unveiling terrifying details of the past.
Misericordia, buscan salvación. No habrá salvación. Sufren, gritan, callan, matan. Animas.
Tormented Souls 2 is the sequel to the 2021 survival horror game Tormented Souls, developed by Dual Effect and published by PQB. The game continues the story of Caroline Walker, who, after the harrowing events at Wildberger Hospital, seeks a normal life with her younger sister, Anna. However, Anna succumbs to a mysterious affliction, prompting Caroline to embark on a perilous journey to save her. The game is set in Puerto Miller, a remote South American town with a dark past, where Caroline must navigate eerie monasteries and confront terrifying creatures using makeshift weapons. The gameplay emphasizes classic survival horror elements, including exploration, puzzle solving, and resource management. Phase Zero is a retro-style survival horror game developed by Spina Studio and presented by Superhot Presents. The game pays homage to classic 1990s horror titles, featuring fixed camera angles, pre-rendered backgrounds, and a narrative that unfolds through episodic chapters, each focusing on one of two protagonists. Set in the snowbound town of Flint Peak, players must confront a mysterious illness transforming residents into grotesque creatures. The gameplay involves solving puzzles, managing limited resources, and surviving encounters with mutated monsters.
Zero.
A.I.L.A is an upcoming first-person psychological horror game, developed by Pulsatrix Studios and published by Fireshine Games. Set in a near-future world, players assume the role of Samuel, a game tester for a revolutionary AI named A.I.L.A. As Samuel tests various horror scenarios crafted by the AI, the line between virtual and reality begins to blur, leading to unsettling experiences that prey on his deepest fears. The game features multiple horror scenarios, including evading a ritualistic cult, solving gruesome puzzles, and engaging in visceral combat against medieval undead. Utilizing Unreal Engine 5, A.I.L.A aims to deliver a photorealistic and immersive horror experience. Regeneration is an upcoming first-person survival horror game developed by Mysterial Games. Set in a dystopian future, the game follows a protagonist who awakens in a desolate facility plagued by grotesque creatures and enigmatic technologies. Players must navigate through this treacherous environment, uncovering the facility's dark secrets while battling horrific entities. The game emphasizes atmospheric tension, resource management, and environmental storytelling, aiming to deliver a deeply immersive horror experience.
Before it awakens. Kate. Please. Forgive me.
Deepest Fear is a sci-fi horror first-person shooter developed by Variable State. Set in a retro-futuristic underwater facility, players assume the role of Dr. Danny Carroll, who must confront otherworldly entities that emerge from any water source. The game combines immersive sim elements with Metroidvania-style exploration, requiring players to solve environmental puzzles and adapt to dynamic threats. Utilizing real-time fluid simulation, the environment can flood unpredictably, adding to the game's tension and challenge. Inspired by classic horror films like The Abyss and The Thing, Deepest Fear aims to deliver a visceral and atmospheric experience.